Yo, being a good duo consists of 3 essentials. If you can manage to master those 3-step categories, you and your duo mate will have no problems to completely stomp the next FNCS and qualify at least for the second round or even further. The problem a lot of Fortnite players face, especially in the lower stages of competitive, is that they master 1 or 2 but have never even tried, let alone heard of the third principle. Today I will give you a fully structured video on all 3 aspects, and if you want to take the maximum amount of value out of this video, I would highly recommend you to pay rapt attention to those, as they have changed multiple Fortnite careers. Let's straightly dive into it. Wherever I look, I see people complain. My mate is so bad, do this, do that, rest me. Still, to this point, I can't get why people are doing this. Of course I know why, because they can't control their emotions. But how can they be so uncertain that they have to blame their mate for fixing something they would have been responsible on their own instead? This mindset has again 2 crucial drawbacks, and each of them have to be disclosed individually. The first and most obvious one is that your vibe will just become worse from time to time, and everyone has recognized a sinking Fortnite duo relationship. Okay, do not ask me how I came up with such a crappy name, but let's just take it like that. Secondly, you're slowly but surely starting to focus more on your mate's mistake instead of figuring out what you could contribute to make the games easier and the communication smoother. Let me explain the latter first, and then I will dive deeper on the first one. By slowly manifesting the mindset that your placements and games are bad because your mate is doing all wrong, you will stop focusing on improving your own flaws and mistakes, as you put yourself on the pedestal and approach every death with the assumption that your mate must have made the mistake. There is just no other way. Most of the times I see this trend in new duos which have just played a few days or even hours together, in which the individual players are way too confident in their own abilities and won't lose to the opinion of their new mate who is telling them that they have done something wrong. As they progress as a duo, their chemistry will get worse from time to time, as they will both settle on their skill and opinions, which must be right only because they have established such pathetical mindset in the beginning of their journey. The only way to stop this is to become aware of the fact that such a kind of relationship is happening in your duo right now, and then getting aware of your own mistakes by lowering your ego, vodding, and eventually improving on those. A trick I have learned which worked wonders for me was to see every death of your mate and yourself as your mistake, no matter if he has made something wrong. If you die, you are the issue, and if you would have made something better, you wouldn't have just lost this game in a cash cup or FNCS game. An example: your mate forgets to reset a wall in your box when you are going for search tags, and you are absolutely not aware about this crucial mistake from your mate. A team sneaks up from behind and 3-2-1s you, and you die. Still, in this situation, where your mate has obviously made the mistake, it would be your mistake that you have no awareness. First of all, over enemies in every single direction, and second, that there is an open wall in your box. Your mate's fault, but your responsibility. If you both adapt such a mindset, your improvement will skyrocket and the chemistry improves substantially. Try it out and let me know in the comments if it has worked. And remember, as long as you can't adapt this low ego, self-esteem crushing mindset, you don't have a chance to go pro anyways. Put the motivation to achieve over your ego and start doing it now. The second fundamental, which makes a good duo, are your communications. This makes the difference between playing as 2 solos and an actual duo. How often have you been chilling in a fight, but then hearing the sound of your mate getting knocked down, whereas you have not even known that there are enemies nearby? Or the converse situation where you just run into a duo's box without telling your mate anything. If any of these situations have been the case, you need to start improving on your communication skills, but not as you think, by calling everything, but of course slowly. First and foremost, I would suggest to start watching pros tournament videos in which they also record their comms. Whilst you're watching, I want you to write down 5 common phrases which seem vital for the duo to play good. You will also recognize that probably their calls are shorter and more efficient than yours. They probably do not stutter, waste any important time to complain or trash talk someone. They come out of rapt focus on the game. By watching such gameplay, you will get a feeling of what good comms look like, or basically sound like. After that, you will play a few games with your mate and try to implement this new learned vocabulary into your own. Just copy what the pros said and figure out if that works for you. Another way you can improve your comms drastically, especially if you are merely calling at all, apparently, is by just overcoming. Report everything you do. If you go into a window edit, call it. If you recognize a brick getting farmed by another team 500 meters away, call it. Try to convince your mate to do this for 1 or 2 games, and after that review these and recognize that it doesn't really work if you call too much. Focus then on only calling the essentials, but get consistent in calling them out. The last tip to improve your communication is to record your games and rewatch them. Figure out what you missed out on and what calls were confusing and get rid of them. By that you gain awareness of what you and your mate is calling good or bad, and you get instant feedback of these flaws. The last but probably most important essential, which will elevate you and your duo to the top of competitive Fortnite, is your practice. Undeniably, practicing is the most important factor, as no star has fallen from the sky just randomly. I think I've just created a new metaphor. Anyways, if you are not practicing enough or incorrectly by focusing on the wrong things to improve on, your duo's uprise will take way longer than it should. The first thing you need to master if you want to achieve in Fortnite duos competition is awareness. Awareness is one of the most underrated skills, yet when mastered will give you an unfair advantage. Again, the foundation of awareness, especially in team modes, is your communication. At least it makes having good awareness easier. However, another way to improve it without having to rely on your mate that much is by starting to simply look around more. When you're rotating, look around. When you're doing nothing and waiting for next zone to pull, look around. Figure out where enemies might rotate and how they behave. Spot certain boxes which might scuff your upcoming rotation. And one thing, you can always look around more than you do right now. Maybe write it on a post-it and put it on your monitor to keep yourself accountable of awareness checking your awareness. The second thing, which is a bit more practical when it comes to practicing, is to setting the rule for yourself to not die once at any chance. Fighting in Fortnite becomes harder and harder, but all the more it is important to stop dying. Whether you damage the opponent or do not do any damage is unimportant if you die in advance, as you can't get out of his box. Therefore, always making sure to have an escape path in form of some counter piece ready to dip out if needed is unarguably the new way to approach a fight. A simple trick you can instantly try out in your next game is to try to not get one damage when fighting. This assumes godlike peaks, a great understanding of the hitbox, good aim and fast mechanics to cover from enemy shots. By carrying on such a playstyle, you will start getting awareness for actual good peaks compared to peaks which are good in your opinion. On the other hand, you have to stop blaming your mate if he dies and completely focus on your own making the best out of the game if your mate is dead. By that, you can drastically boost your own confidence in your abilities and your mate will place trust in you as he will see you dominate. After that game, bump him up again with some motivational words and stomp the next lobby. The last trick I want to cover in this video is to play like you're one player. Being able to pull this off requires a mastery of all the essentials I told you before. Once both of you have mastered awareness, mechanics, communication and acquired some general understanding of each other's playstyle, you can figure out a way you can achieve greatest. And the best way to do so is to play as a unit. Imagine in late game sticking constantly on each other, being ahead of zone and full boxing max damage pumping everyone as a consequence of your optimized way to play duos. Once you have mastered all of these three fundamentals, as well as figuring out how to function the best as an individual duo, I guarantee success in your future Fortnite tournaments. Nobody will be able to stop you except your own way you practice. With that words, I want to finish off today's video. As always, I hope that you could learn something. If so, feel free to check out my other videos if you want further tips how to improve at the game. Enjoy your day if you're pussy. Peace out, bro.